definitely going to be a very interesting match. It's either going to be, I know Misfit, one of the other casters, was saying that he thinks that Guangzhou is going to get too big of an ego and they're going to get put down really hard. But I personally think that they have it in the bag and it can be pretty easy for Guangzhou here. But yeah,
I have no feelings one way or the other. Not too much experience myself personally with either of these rosters. One thing is for certain, we are going to see a loss for one of these two teams today. We've had our winner's side of the competition obviously happen with the first round. This will be the winner's semifinals. All 4 matches in winner's quarters, all 3 zeros. So someone's going to have to take the L here. And here we go, going to be pushing onto Lijiang Gardens to kick our first map of the day off. Let's get this party started. Both teams going to be definitely starting a little bit on more of the things that we've seen in the past few weeks. Going with this Sigma Ball, Brig, and Zen. One thing is not going to be changed, actually. I saw the symmetry for a little bit. Echo Tracer's going to be dueling it out on either sides. You see the Ball and the Tracer over here heading out towards the Mega Pack, trying to determine some point dominance as the Sigmas rotate up and towards the high grounds. Seems like Guangzhou is certainly going to be taking first possession of the point, more or less, in terms of just the space. Points now starting to unlock. 1 second, Flame into the backline, Viper will fall, courtesy of that focusing beam from Sarang's Echo. Now, San Francisco strike back, stuck in the corner, but not for long, as they're going to find all the kills here. Yoink's the last man alive, but he will take a short walk up a long cliff, and head back to spawn. The first point, going to San Francisco.
Very slow take for San Francisco. One of the things people have been talking about this team does their scouting. They do their research, and they do know that Guangzhou likes to take very early control of the high ground, and they were able to punish Zecherman, who's Yoink's 24, going into the backline there, and then able to turn back towards the core. Zecherman knocked off the map, though, but traded back again with the full spawn. Spark Chief does find Galaxy as well, but most trades Spark Chief as well. Trades are in favor of San Francisco, though. What was looking like a pretty good start there ended up being just back to the drawing board for Guangzhou.
San Francisco right now are just really, they're exemplifying this bend not break strategy. You see how they back into their own hookah, their own side of the point, taking what some may consider to be a disadvantageous positioning, putting all their eggs in one basket, putting all their supports in one corner. There's a hungry Tracer and a Ball waiting. But it seems like that bending playstyle has just given them enough to snap back onto the enemy team. And now Yoink, he's going to be getting a little bit too creative here. He's getting very close to dying, but he will find that Mega Pack. But here we go. All the ultimates now starting to come online. Viper, Galaxy, they've taken the high ground, but once again, Sarang is doing all the work here on this Echo, and he's going to find another pick off of the focusing beam. Kabusu, it's going to be due. Finally, he's going to hit the Sigma. The Trans is trying to keep him alive. Gravitic Flux is now available. He is going to miss basically everyone, though, and that Transcendence, however, from Lucky is going to be popped 86%. As Guangzhou, they need to find these kills, but here comes a real Flux. It does miss the Zenyatta, as Pink will not be caught out on the side of the Guangzhou Goblins, and Kabusu, he's taken the advantage, looking for this pitched fight back and forth, but the Echo going to work, and at 99%, the flip finally comes through. A tale of many ultimates, a tale of 2 fights, but we play on Lijiang Oasis Gardens.
Yeah, very interesting decision for Kabosu and Pink to commit there, being down so many, but ended up working out for the better. They were able to force more abilities and then get the respawns back. Using that Transcendence to flip the tempo was definitely a very good play there. And just some poking here. Now Guangzhou in control of the point. Definitely a position that a lot of people behind. Pink already finding Lucky with that long-range right-click. And Zecherman rolling through, trying to move people forward so they can clean up more here. Miracle trying to poke a little bit, but Guangzhou not getting too aggressive here, knowing that if they do overstep, they will get collapsed on, because San Francisco, like you said, has been playing this very good style of just being able to absorb Guangzhou's engages. They play very slow.
You really have to think that Guangzhou, they seem to be in a more advantageous position here. Just judging off of the ultimates here, and Viper cutting down Sarang out of midair. That was beautiful. They are getting a decent amount of kills here are San Francisco, but at the end of the day, it's going to be the Mines and that Gravitic Flux from Viper that are going to cut things out. And honestly, a lot of the points that I still have to say still stand. They popped a lot of ultimates in that fight, but the most important one of them all is still almost about to come online, and that's Pink's Transcendence. Lucky got picked off early into the first fight as Guangzhou capped at around 20%, with Lucky actually getting picked off by his opposing Zen and Pink. And that's really the difference, going to be the difference thus far. No real ultimates online. Sarang is close to that dupe, but so is Kabosu. And this is basically going to come in the last fight, but now here comes the reverse. Lucky, he's a little bit tired of having that get taken down, and he's going to find Pink. That's the Transcendence out of the fight. Now Yoinks will fall too, courtesy of Sarang, that focusing doing altogether too much work. Boops off the sides for many. More boops to the Boop God, and Viper and Spark Chief will fall. Back and forth here, the Guangzhou Goats. Well, Goblins, they're trying to find this. However, San Francisco's going to get the flip. Kabosu, all the kills, but they need someone to stall. Miracle and Yoinks have arrived. Pink, he's going to be getting back on this Transcendence for the dupe. Now going to come in from Sarang. Gets that Gravitic Flux. He already has his Sarang. He's got the Pulse Bomb lined up, and Yoinks is actually going to find Dauntless. Transcendence coming out from Pink here, as he has all the heals in the world, but now he's just going to be slinging the orbs to the backline. He's going to get contested here. Sarang on the Tracer, trying to do stuff, but Miracle, the one back into this fight. He's going to find Kilo. Mines up onto the side of the point. He is going to be able to find a little bit of space, and Galaxy will fall, but Guangzhou have turned this around from the brink of despair. They're going to need to flip this point. They will, and the overtime will quick over very, very quickly, and it's Guangzhou who run it back from 99 to 0 to 199, and will be taking our first point.
It was definitely a very good start coming out from San Francisco. It's clear they did their homework. They know that Guangzhou likes to control the pace and they like to always attack first. So they used that to their advantage to try to absorb their engages and then re-engage after all their cooldowns had been used already. And it worked for a little bit, but Guangzhou, they understood that San Francisco, they're putting all their eggs into the basket of playing way back, and they're able to take more map pressure. Kilo is sticking on the D.Va. I will remind you guys that the patch changes went live today, so we are playing on a fresh patch. And the differences now are going to be Viper still onto that Sigma, but Kilo onto that D.Va, and then also Dauntless onto that Mercy as well. So looks like San Francisco probably going to play a little bit more of a slower playstyle here. Yoinks going for an engage here, maybe a little bit too aggressive, but does get lucky, but it might just get rezzed up. But Miracle looking to deny, will be able to zone out as much as possible, but that res will come out because recall was forced out. A little bit of an overextend from Zeecherman, but Kabosu will trade Spark Chief as well. And now Guangzhou, turtling to the side of the point, can play this very slow and just try and poke out from all sides. Ron taking some damage, but also Kilo taking damage on point as well. And slowly Guangzhou is now going to push up. And Lucky seems to be the target. He's taken out by Miracle. And the slow-moving brawl of Guangzhou moving forward to clean up the rest of these kills. And does not seem like they're going to get anything else.
San Francisco having that pick early, I feel really crippled them. They want to play this D.Va in a lot more of a dive style to try and just physically crush this Sigma comp that Guangzhou is clearly running here. But that pick that they got taken off on Force the Res and the bend not break style that I was referring to with their play earlier, it didn't break, but there was certainly an ankle twist. And an ankle twist isn't something you want to be running on, and San Francisco clearly have fallen flat, at least for the time being. Yoinks is going to take himself off the edge, as that may signal a potential shift in the momentum here. Backline, Spark Chief, he's about half HP, but with no ball counterpart on his side, he is going to find it a little bit easier to go. Yoinks is going to return to this fight very quickly, but now it's Dauntless with the Valkyrie, trying to put that pressure on, and it's already fairly obvious that Kabusu's feeling it. Sarang, the focusing beam, once again, dueling it out on this map has been brutal. Miracle on the backline, though, the Tracer, the unrelenting force that has just been doing all the work here. He's found a couple of quick kills, and now he's trying to look to see what happens. The D-back now, Kilo will fall. The cleanup is still coming through in this ball Tracer combination. Yoinks, even after throwing himself off the map to get him in this fight, him and Miracle have turned this around. Guangzhou still firmly in control here.
Yeah, seeing as Zeecherman and that Wrecking Ball is very, very fast, so falling off the map did not mean too much, and honestly good that he didn't feed too much ult charge from getting environmental there, but Miracle going for something a little creative there. Does not have that recall though for this upcoming fight. Pink dropping very low, eating some spam from across the map. Will heal up and will have that Transcendence. It's 5 ults on the side of Guangzhou. Mines come out from Spark Chief, and also the rally from Galaxy as well. He will be able to sustain. Lucky is forced to use his trance aggressively, but Kabosu does copy the Sig. Copy onto the Brig as well from Sarang, but might just get immediately bursted out as well. He really wants to make sure he gets that rally, but it's not going to happen. The There's already kills traded back and forth, and it's really just Guangzhou slapping San Francisco with their wallets here. They just knew they could use all of their ults and just win just straight off the bat. Pink cleaning up the final 2 kills on Spark Chief and Sarang, and Zypha just gets rolled over, and that fight, or that round wasn't even close. Guangzhou taking the first map, Oasis 2-0.
Not even. Slapping with the wallets. I'm going to steal that one and use that later because that is a perfect instance of what just happened here. Yoinks, he was trying to get the work done, but he really didn't even need to. The rest of his team were really there to clean a lot of that up. You see the Mindset in the background, obviously, as the play of the game. But
Yeah,
that was a pretty
honestly
dominant first map. They broke San Francisco's momentum and utterly dominated them on City Center. It's obviously first map. We got a lot to do, but Miracle and Yoinks have been tearing it up. And it's going to be hard to see how they keep this up. Obviously, they do have map picks to perhaps determine a style that they maybe wanted to find later on in the future. They can definitely take a lot from Guardians, but they got time. But not too much of it. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it first to 3 or first to 4 here in the winter semis?
it's going to be first to 3, so it's a best of 5, first team to 3. I do believe it's only the grand finals that are going to be a best of 7. So it is going to be first to 3. So they have a little bit of wiggle room still. It's not quite the best of 2 that some tournaments do. But yeah, they do have to try and figure something out because they came out with a style. It worked for a little bit, but once Guangzhou adapted, it was very clear that it didn't seem like they had a backup plan to if Guangzhou countered their style. And basically what their style was to play super passive, try to absorb the engage from Guangzhou, and then re-engage. But however, the problem with that is that the way they were playing it gave them very little map pressure, and Guangzhou was able to surround them and corral them from all angles. And like we saw in that play of the game, once they got their ultimates online, it was just it was just a dream come true for a Wrecking Ball player to just drop mines on the entire team into that small hallway. And we are going to be going to King's Row. It's going to be the next match. So I do want to touch on something that I did kind of talk about in between the match. The patch went live. So Sigma's shield did get nerfed. Will be a 2.5-second cooldown before he can replace it after dropping the shield. And I think a lot of people thought that Sigma was going to just be bad. But I think me and a lot of players realized that that's not really Sigma's not really the problem with the game. The problem with the game is the power of the supports and how overtuned like the abilities that they have in like Discord and Rally and being able to sustain for so long. That's the that's the thing that's really I think hurting the meta right now. So I don't think that the Sigma changes actually change a whole lot, and we saw Guangzhou sticking with that Sigma pick. San Francisco trying out the Diva. I know a lot of teams they're writing off Sigma, but I think that the change that was made to Sigma does not nerf the Sigmas that were already managing their shield correctly. It only really nerfs the Sigma players that weren't using their Sigma shield effectively and efficiently.
Definitely would appear to be that way, at least for the current time frame. I mean, I consider me a lowly diamond player. I mean, don't look at my account. It's definitely not 2,900. But I personally felt that we were going to see some changes. Obviously, for maps like Control, where you can play almost a lot of different things, styles are going to change. What I'm really curious about is when metas revolve around a particular type of comp, when the maps revolve around that style. And King's Row is going to be a perfect example. Generally speaking, we're used to seeing a lot of double shield, a lot of brawl, a lot of rush, maybe combine those two, add the Reinhardt Sigma in there, I'm curious to see what teams are going to come out on. Personally, I bet a lot of Hanzo just for shield shred, but it seems like we're going to have a little bit of time before that match. I got to keep that speculation going. I've heard Hanzo's fairly good. Hanzo Echo, maybe some Zenyatta. Not quite particularly sure. But San Francisco, this is a good map to take Guangzhou to perhaps change the tempo a little bit once again. Because Guangzhou seemed to have them figured out in the second portion of Oasis.
Yeah, and also like Also on that patch as well, Hanzo getting that buff, his storm arrows do shoot faster. The other thing to mention is Ashe's damage nerf, which makes it so she can no longer one-shot 200 health targets with a mercy damage boost in a Discord. So that honestly might hurt some of the comps played. I know a lot of people do like to play the Ashe Mercy here and try and play for angles, especially on the attack here if they are allowed to take the high ground halls area. But considering that based on what we were shown um, last match with Guangzhou and Vancouver, Kabosu is in here kind of as their echo player. So he can play the Ashe, but it's definitely not the main reason he would be in here. If they wanted to play the Ashe, they would bring in one of their hit scan players like Mr. Crit or Dalton. But with Kabosu in the lineup, you could almost assume that they're going to be playing Echo, and Galaxy onto the Mercy as well is going to allow them to play a slower style. But like you said, over on the other side, San Francisco are hovering the rush. Like you said, that Rhine Sigma. They are going for the standard rush that we usually see with the May McCree and the Lucio Baptiste as well. Baptiste being very good with brawls because he can use his immortality field to help people sustain for longer and give just that much more time. We'll have to see how they decide to take this approach. They are going to be rotating through Hotel. Pile Driver misses from Zeterman. And looks like they're going to be trying for a rotation all the way through the back. So if Guangzhou reads this, which it looks like they do, they are going to back up and give them space. Very smart play from Guangzhou, recognizing that that's exactly what they want to do and being able to keep these angles. And Zeterman and Miracle onto the backline, but does get caught out by Xiphon. And Miracle might be in a little bit of trouble here now, getting chased out through the hallways. But again, the res comes out from Galaxy, so San Francisco back to the drawing board. They're still corralled in this small area. Miracle getting a little bit crazy there. But these angles that a really good rotation coming out, trying to catch Viper in the rotation might actually end up happening here. But Kabosu able to catch out Xiphon. Enough damage was done in rotation that Guangzhou is able to clean this up. And this has been just a obviously it was a very awkward fight and also just a very well executed fight from both teams. But Viper needs to be careful to not die here. Does have to pop the grasp. Immortality field comes out from Kabosu, a very, very good decision to copy that Baptiste in the heat of the moment, but does not end up happening. But Miracle finds Xiphon with Pulse Bomb, but does get traded out as well. Nail kind of zoning on point, the Immortality field out as well. A lot of abilities forced out onto San Francisco, so the re-engage might be really possible here. Mostly finding Dauntless, and the Valkyrie popped by Galaxy as well. And without that heals and without the Immortality field, it might just be the end for that. Galaxy goes for the res, does get booped away though. Really good play there from Lucky, but trades back and forth. But Xiphon finding two, but Miracle finding Spark Chief, and it's all up to Kilo and Xiphon. Maybe Dauntless to try to just salvage what they can and get out. And that was a very extended fight going in the favor of Guangzhou.
This all comes down to Kabosu and Zeterman's map movements. You gotta know, like, when you play into this Reinhardt comp, the instant goal you see is Kabosu just getting incredible value on this Echo and with these stickies. They try to match it by putting Xiphon on this hit scan hero, but he right now, after 2.5 minutes in, really has had no effect on Kabosu. Then a couple of stray headshots. He is gonna get one step into the end there, and now Kabosu will fall. Unfortunately, courtesy of Viper's group at blocks, but Zeterman, he's got the mines in the backline, and that will pick him up. Resurrect is gonna bring Kabosu back into the air. Now the Transcendence going to be used from Pink. That's going to keep everybody alive. With Wrecking Ball Zeterman, he's only going to go down, but not quite the May. It's keeping him up. Another dupe on the Baptiste here. Perhaps a lamp onto the point will keep Zeterman alive, but I don't think it'll keep him through a shatter. However, Miracle, he's still there. The Tracer returns to the fight. Now the Pulse Bomb is going to find the Reinhardt here. Recall, he's looking for the Lucio. Will get it, and with the help of Kabosu, the lamp will also go down. Miracle tearing it up. The damage boosted Tracer. It's all too easy. Pink stayed alive in the backline for so long, and those discards are crucial. And now we're sitting up on a minute left. San Francisco, that's a full team swap.
Yeah, a full team comp pivot. Pink might be in trouble here, dropping very low to those stickies. That was almost a disaster, but Galaxy probably would have been able to have the res for that. But like you said, a full team comp pivot into the last minute. A little bit of a... Oh, but Xiphon does find Miracle, and Zoinks going a little bit too aggressive there. That's exactly what they need, considering they don't have the ultimates. But Guangzhou knows they can back up, give a little bit of space. Immortality Field already dropping on point. Interesting decision to use that so early, but Galaxy might be able to recontest with this, but Sarong finds Kabosu, and then Zeetman dies again, and then Galaxy does die trying to go for that res as well. And honestly, what probably should have been Guangzhou's fight, it was Guangzhou's fight to win, but they threw it all away for a really aggressive engage.
Certainly, I mean, Zeetman on this wrecking ball, he's been inspirational to say the least, but sometimes inspirational turns into feeding, and there were a couple of moments there where I think we were questioning his position to a certain extent, and I bet his team was as well. That will lead to San Francisco getting the cap. We can't take it away from them. I believe that it was easily the right call to swap off of that Reinhardt ball comp, and perhaps that could have surprised him, so I wouldn't call it feeding straight up. Because maybe they didn't see the swaps. Maybe they weren't expecting them to come in with such alacrity. And so it makes sense. And Xiphon on this McCree is really keeping a lot of these heroes zoned now. He's finally got a raid on Kabosu after that high noon. The DPS still being able to tear it up to a certain extent. Miracle on the high ground. He's going to have a decent amount of pressure here. Going for the backline. Looking for the stick. It's going to be whiffed. Going to hit the ground. Dauntless. He's now on that break. Going to see how much deterrence that's really going to need. But Miracle, he's cut down his counterpart in Xiphon, and now all the damage in the world is Viper bringing the thunder from the front. Gravitic Flux going to find Kilo there. The Resurrect will come in, and the ball will be returned to life. A minute and a half left on Guangzhou's attack.
Yep, and I think that this is just a symptom of the ult economy that Guangzhou had but couldn't use in that last fight on A. They weren't able to use a lot of their ultimates because of the nature of how the fight went, with being down 2 before the fight even started. But now, pushing up through this alleyway is San Francisco. Kabosi with the Sigma copy, trying to get this flux as much as possible. It's up to 94%. Does get the flux, or does get the copy flux, and the Transcendence from Pink coming out as well. And Kilo gets traded for Yoinks, and I think that favors Guangzhou for sure. Sarong uses the copy on the Mercy to dodge the rock damage there from Viper. Probably not what you're looking for, but I liked the thought process behind it. But now it's 30 seconds again. Back to the drawing board. Another last-minute fight. Let's see if San Francisco can pull it out again.
That was hilarious from a spectator's point of view. You see just kind of casually commenting, Yoinks gets taken down. He got body blocked in a hallway for somewhere over 10 seconds. That one had to hurt. However, what's not hurting here is going to be both Tracers. They are going to get absolutely destroyed here as Pink finding the orbs to the head. Viper is going to trade out Lucky, and now the Valkyrie onto the point. Easily uncontested, and Viper will now return to life. The point Guardian close to that Gravitic Flux, 80% on the way, but here comes the rally on the point. All that AoE heals as Dauntless is the raid boss. Kilo, all that damage into the front line. There's no Valkyrie to counteract the rally. San Francisco push on. I believe that they should be able to get a recontest. Most of their heroes are very, very versatile. But Pink is a little bit out of position here in Sarang. Sarang almost finds it. Yeah, I don't think they do. Sarang didn't actually quite see him, and now, but now the Tracer doesn't. Pink will fall. Xiphon catches him out. And that's gonna be a 5v6. I'm not sure if Guangzhou are gonna want to take this fight. Judging by the positioning, I'm assuming that's a negative. Maybe Miracle will go for it. They have the ultimate to spare soon. Oh, they are. Now comes the ball onto the point. Miracle, he's stunned up, and he's going to be able to hit that recall. Gravitic Flux pop. He is very low HP. He is very confident his healers will be able to get the job done. Slamming down the damage. Lucky will fall. Falls over to the back. Finds 2. That's big damage. Kabosu is there. Finds the counter to the break. It's just the 2 left alive. The Resurrect's going to come in. Yoinks returns to the fight, and Miracle the carry. The pulse now returns. It's only going to be onto a Sigma shield, as Xiphon cannot quite mirror the success of his Tracer counterpart, and the Wrecking Ball slammed is the last one down. San Francisco, their attack will fall as Guangzhou takes a man-down fight, and Miracle, the man of the hour, ring in the hold.
Yeah, and I think if you're Guangzhou, you know, you say, okay, yes, our Zenyatta did die early, but looking at their ult bank, they know that San Francisco had to invest their entire ult bank just to win the fight halfway through Streets, so they knew that they would be at ult advantage. So regardless of the fact that they were down 1, they still had that Gravitic Flux, they still had that Pulse Bomb, and we know that both Viper and Miracle are very confident with both of those ultimates, and Miracle finding 2, exactly what you're looking for. And very good play coming out from Guangzhou, but also very good play coming out from San Francisco as well. Definitely, they are showing that they are a well-disciplined team. and that they are capable of making a lot of decisions, or correct decisions, excuse me, that allows to put them into better positions. I'm not usually a fan of people playing Rush, but it's mostly because most people don't know how to play Rush correctly, and San Francisco definitely showing that they understand quite a bit of how to play that, especially into a comp that is going to be taking so many angles. Yoinks 24, hovering the Reinhardt, probably nothing, but we do know he does like to Rind it. Now he is going to be going back to the Wrecking Ball. Galaxy sticking onto this Mercy. I think one of the things that could have been abused a little bit more was the fact that San Francisco was running the Brig, and Guangzhou wasn't really respecting that. Lucky getting a very, very good right click onto Lucky, but lucky for Guangzhou and for Miracle, Galaxy will have that Resurrect. And now, Spark Chief going for an engage here, does get discorded, burned down pretty low. Zeeterman also getting chased as well, does find the Mega Health Pack, will escape to his team, actually will not escape to his team. Getting burned down by that Focusing Beam, such a very strong ability. And now, the high ground is being contested by both teams. Viper and Pink trying to push up the stairway. Galaxy almost in danger of that Focusing Beam, but Dauntless really out of position here, and Viper and Pink will punish that, and then Yoinks will also find Xiphon as well, and Spark Chief also dropping low as well, and it's just all the pieces are coming together for Guangzhou, and it's just Lucky who might get taken, will get taken out again by Cabosu, and just like how San Francisco really played around their rotations, so does Guangzhou.
Beautiful. I mean, I'm spectating that fight. I'm trying to look. Spark Chief, he's getting in there on the ball. And it seems like when I saw that happening, I'm like, all right, Guangzhou, seems like they're going to push back this fight. But San Francisco, just getting egged on by Guangzhou almost. This backwards positioning from them is making San Francisco play really, really aggressive. And Guangzhou just snaps back like a whiplash. And they just easily take that fight. It seemed all so simple, and now, once again, they have the ultimates. Miracle finds Lucky. There's no resurrect. The Valkyrie providing all the damage they could ever need, and they are wiping the floor with San Francisco on this map. Spark Chief is going to find his way out, and they do have a decent amount of ults to recontest this point, but they're going to be going into a lot. This one is going to be a storm.
Yeah, we're going to be coming up with 10 ults across the board on both teams. We do have it's a 6-4, so slight ult disadvantage here for Guangzhou. However, 3 of the ultimates are still in the 70s, and seeing this rotation up to the boiler makes me very happy. The double Sigmas, and the Transcendence comes out from Pink to dodge the Pulse Bomb. Cabosu trying to build up that Flux, getting a double Flux going off. Rally comes out from Dauntless, but Lucky is already followed, being too low. That execute damage, getting that work, and now, from this position up high ground, it becomes very awkward for San Francisco to take this. However, Kilo does use the Gravitic Flux. Viper dropping very low, but will be healed up, actually taken out by Sarong, but it doesn't matter because Galaxy's there with the res, and the kills have come out for Guangzhou. It's just up to Xiphon to try to pull something together, and Sarong, 1 HP, trying to duel Pink, and last minute touch from Lucky, but does get booped away. Will get the touch in with 1 meter to spare, but immediately taken out by Miracle. And Guangzhou really showing that they understand this map very well, and that they can play their comp to its strengths, and that they are really in charge of this game, and that it's match point already.
It's just domination. Simple. They have all the ults they need at all the times they need it, and that just shows that they're really understanding how to take these fights, when to show restraint, and when to go all in. That's an 11-minute King's Row. Very, very well done there from Guangzhou. They're going to be moving on to match point here, and a spot in the winners finals, and a top 3 placing secured.
Yeah, so we are going to be going into halftime.
Halftime, all right.
We're going to halftime for 5 minutes. So one thing I want to point out is I think that Guangzhou, I think both of these teams very well practiced, but I think that Guangzhou just they understand I think this comp a little bit more than San Francisco. And it's just very interesting to see. San Francisco, obviously a team not to be messed around with. They did take out our first seed, New York, in the quarterfinals, and as a team who I believe came in as the 11th seed overall, taking down the first seed, like they are a very good team, and we know that they do their homework. So, but it looks like I think Guangzhou being the type of team where they don't really have many set strats. They just go off of instinct. It's very hard to do homework on players that play off of instinct. And Guangzhou is showing the true killer instinct, knowing exactly their limits. Like you see, honestly, sometimes you see Yoinks going in, maybe overestimating some of his limits, given the wrecking ball nerf to his adaptive shields and not being able to get away with as much, but they know their limits. And it looks like San Francisco, um, they're a well practiced team. They obviously do their homework, but it just seems like they're still trying to get that confidence, the ability to just make decisions on the fly and to be able to be unpredictable. And I think that's what gives Guangzhou such an edge is their unpredictability. They can bring back fights from the brink. Perfect example was on Oasis on Gardens when they immediately went down a few people, but they were able to get enough picks in return, and they were able to juggle the point contest in overtime long enough to get the reinforcements back. And Guangzhou, putting us to a 2-0, and a lot of teams. I honestly think that Guangzhou makes themselves out to be the villains of this entire tournament because they talk a lot of trash and they win a lot of games. So it's very easy to paint them as the villains. So I think this is kind of personal for San Francisco. They want to put the villains down. They want to put them in their place and humble them a little bit.
I mean, you're seeing it in the chat. Can we start tryharding yet? Can we start going? And San Francisco, they gotta step up here, man. They gotta feel it. I mean, this isn't the end of the road for them. They do have the losers bracket to make the run through, and I believe they can. They definitely got the fire to do it. But they gotta prove, maybe, that they can still belong in this winners bracket. And the way that starts is here on Volskaya Industries. I feel the problem with this map pick, though, is that it goes off of all the strengths that Guangzhou have continued to show. It's the same. You generally see a lot of the same compositions there. Playing the Sigma Ball, the Tracer, the Zen. Maybe they have an Ash pick that they want, that they have in reserve. Maybe looking at these long sidelines. But I feel like if you wanted something, you could have tried to change it up maybe on Hanamura. Run some symmetric teleporting things. Some Anubis. Go for a Pharaoh or a Genji. Something crazy, something out of pocket. And that's sometimes what you need. But I mean, as you've said, Guangzhou are certainly a team that relies off of instinct, and it's hard to prep for that. So maybe this is just kind of what they have to do to try to go back to the standard as the standard. Take this break, take these 5 minutes, and try to mentally reshed and get ready. Because map 3 is coming up.
And one thing I do point out is I think maybe their decision to play Volskaya is the fact that they do have video of Guangzhou honestly putting on a masterclass in how to play the map, but video nonetheless from the Vancouver game. So they do have a little bit of uh, VODs to look at, and maybe that's what their thought process was. They want to play a map that they think they can counter strat for. But I do agree with you. I think that this map definitely suits a lot of things that Guangzhou is very good at. And but honestly, I said this in the Vancouver match as well. I think that all three of these maps really, I don't think there is a good pick against Guangzhou. I think that if they are just, it just seems like they're head and shoulders above their opponents every time they play. So it's just very difficult to actually try to pinpoint where San Francisco can actually bring it back. But also, like we said at the beginning, or I guess like we say throughout the playoffs, every single map is available. However, for the assault map type, because Paris and Horizon Lunar Colony are still not competitively viable because they have been removed by Blizzard, they are also not available. So you have that map pool that's already pinched as is. So you have to be good at one of these three maps or two of these three maps if you really want to make it far. And especially, we saw Dauntless typing in the chat as well, saying that it's reverse sweep time. still winnable. And I love that from San Francisco. They know that it's not over until one of those scores reads 3, and they know that if they're going to turn it around, they got to turn it around right now. And I know personally, from being reverse swept and reverse sweeping, that the hardest part of a reverse sweep is getting that first map win.
Seems like we're going to be starting that up very, very soon. Dauntless has signaled the ready. Both sides are ready. We're getting back into the action. Full Sky Industries will herald our third map. Potentially the series over, but potentially the beginning of a reverse sweep. And let's get this party started. That certainly is what you were saying, though. I did not get an experience. They may have a particular strat set, or maybe they just understand what Guangzhou we're looking to do here and maybe have some things ready to go. Not particularly sure. We'll have to see what shows up here. I'm expecting a lot of the same, honestly. I expect a lot of the Sigma. I don't expect too much to change here.
Yeah,
But
I agree.
It's a new meta. It's new times. Maybe double sniper. Maybe double shield. I have no idea. Maybe the same thing, but it's the same thing San Francisco. They may have had these few minutes. They got to reset. They got to get moving. It seems like Guangzhou, they're going to be holding on the defense once again. Same old, same old. Miracle, the Tracer. He has been just going off all series long. That pulse bomb securing that defense was a huge play, and I think Herald's play of the game, play of the match, honestly. But right now,
yeah, I think it's tight right now for Guangzhou, but you know, I think it's a little early to try to call player of the match. There still is one more map to be won by them. Play of the match. Oh, okay. I thought player yet. All right, we are not going to be deciding that yet, but
not at all.
I will point out that for the people that watched the last stream, in this same position, 2-0, Guangzhou did let off the gas a little bit. They ended up playing a double shield Symmetra Genji comp. Miracle already kind of drops very low. Very good from Sarong to predict those stickies on the recall. And Engage already gets, but Dauntless does get forced out, but will end up making it through to the rotation. But Sarong does get taken out by Cabosu, but Pink assassinated by Xiphon. But however, Galaxy will be here for the res, and also the team, Miracle and Viper, will be able to force them out as well. But Zeeterman just trying to keep them corralled. Definitely a force to be reckoned with in the lobby. Can zone entire teams by himself. But it's an all-out brawl in this corridor, which would seem to favor San Francisco, given the fact they're running Brig. But the picks are being cleaned up by Guangzhou.
I've been spectating the two different echoes as this series goes on, because Dauntless and the Shungite are clearly favoring this Brigitte version of the comp more. Sarang, I don't feel has the freedom to roll as Cabosu does, and I feel like it's taken away some of the threats. See, Cabosu damage boost there. Obviously, maybe not the greatest example, as Lucky will be taking down the Zen from long range, is definitely going to be a little bit more susceptible. But it just feels like Sarang doesn't have as much adventure, as much space to really get into the action, as I feel like he definitely could. Cabosu's just clearly been the superior echo as this series has gone on, and 2 minutes in, they've barely been able to get through the choke.
Just some poking coming out, still from Guangzhou. San Francisco making a rotation to the right side, but a very good engage with Yoinks already with the reads rolling in from the other side and looping them back into the team. Another very clean fight. The Pulse Bomb and the Valkyrie used for nothing, or for an exchange of nothing. Excuse me, it did net them a fight win, and 2 minutes off the clock. And now this is going to be the fight where San Francisco, they really have to try to pull something out here. If they use their ults here and it doesn't pan out, this could be disaster for them. Miracle getting forced out of the recall again. Will have to get out. Does not actually. It's going to be fine. Oh, Cabosu, a stick for Xiphon, getting the mid-air stick on Cabosu. Incredible play, and this is exactly what San Francisco needed, and honestly, this might be very good for them. If they are able to cap this without using any ults, they might be able to steamroll second with an ult advantage. Viper and Galaxy just sitting here trying to just live, but they might just have to die here.
I think they have a Raken system. Seems like they do. Mine's down on the ground. They're going to find Kilo. Courtesy of that Gravitic Flux, Viper returns to the fight. Dauntless, he needs to keep this one alive. The rally is looking to do so, but it's really only him and Xiphon alive. We need to see a combo, a link up, a something. He may be in spawn. That rally is all too late. The return back from the spawn, he's just going to have to take a short hop off a long cliff. And you got to realize, That was the fight. That was where they needed to do things. That rally was crucial. Them having to pop that on A and pop that almost too late to save that fight. This is going to be rough, as now the ultimates that were previously expended are now going to return to come online. Kabosu has that dupe, could be used for a Gravitic Flux, could be used for anything. And Sarang, he knows that his time on the Echo is done. They need an answer to these ultimates that are going to be rolling in from the Guangzhou DPS in the very, very near future. He's on that McCree now, trying to take the flank here as they push up towards the high ground. Miracle in position. Ooh, trying to get the stick. He is going to whiff it. Sarang, now he has free reign, and Pink will fall. Spark Chief in the backline, getting the job done. Sarang, 3 HP. Can the Tracer get there? No, not quite. San Francisco, they've done their job. They're getting them a little bit low, but they have to get out of this kind of aperture here. Tracer, Zyphon, he's in the backline. The supports are honestly uncontested. They haven't had a touch on the point yet. Now comes the Kilo drop. Transcendence this time from Pink. However, Galaxy will fall, and that's a major part of these heals out of the fight as soon as the Transcendence comes down. But Kabosu is doing everything right now. He's in the backline. He's distracted the entirety of the enemy team, and it's going to have to be a trans from Lucky to get even close to the fight. But Zyphon, maybe he did enough on the Tracer. Mine's going to be up on the point. That is going to be some significant time moves. And Pink, he stayed alive all throughout this time, that Transcendence, and now the retreat. It's a 2v3. They don't have a touch on the point. They have to get to the mines, and they don't get there. The Guangzhou Goblins with a full hold and are only 2.5 ticks away from taking the series and moving to the winter semis.
It really was disaster for San Francisco. It was the fight they needed to win, and I think that they just really did not expect the unexpected there. And one thing that I like to tell people is you always need to expect a recontest.
Expect the unexpected.
Expect the unexpected, exactly. Just expect the unexpected, Forehead. That's how you win. But you always have to expect a recontest. And it's not until it's too late, like physically too late for a recontest, that you rule out the possibility. Because it just looked like, San Francisco had the same train of thought that I did during the cast, where they decided that they got an opening with a three-person man advantage going into the fight without using any ults, just based on just picking off the Guangzhou members that were out of position. And I think they just considered the fight won. They were just going to cap A, and they were just gonna roll into B and use all their ults, and then cap B as well. But they just really, like, Viper and Galaxy being able to live in the backline, and then having that Gravitic Flux and the mines from Zeterman as well was able to keep that going. We do see the Roadhog coming out from Zeterman. He did pull this out last match, and it did put on a show. And then also Pink onto the Ana as well. I know Pink loves playing Ana. Is a little bit of a center hero at the moment. Definitely a lot weaker than Zen in the current meta, but I think that they've earned it. But Sarang trying to play this Ashe even with the nerfs, but Miracle dropping very low, Kabosu as well, but Yoinks already finds Lucky, yoinking that Zenyatta into their team, and Kilo and Lucky already dead. I don't think San Francisco even realized that they were rotating around that far side, and if they did, they definitely did not react. And this just might be a very, very quick period just put onto this fight. They will have to be aware of a recontest, like I said, but Pink's already calling GG's in the chat, and it's just dance time onto the point. And like I said it in match predictions. I said it was going to be an easy 3-0. Everyone else said that I was going to be wrong. They said that San Francisco had what it took, that the egos were going to be too. Ana play the game. What is this?
We interrupt your regularly scheduled programming to bring you an Ana play of the game, something never before seen in Overwatch League history. A Bionade kill and some snipes from the high ground. And just to continue your train of thought here, honestly. We still haven't seen...
Expect the unexpected. Ana play of the game. But exactly. Yeah, a very, very quick game. And I think everyone... They were expecting this to be close. They were expecting this to be a banger, and honestly, I don't think it. I think it was a banger still, but it was definitely very difficult for San Francisco to try to adapt to Guangzhou's volatile playstyle, and it's just it's very difficult sometimes to try to be the team that preps, because sometimes you get yourself locked into a like a mindset of that you're just going to counter them. But then once you get countered for countering them, it's sometimes becomes very difficult to try to bring it back. But this does mean that Guangzhou is going to be just moving straight on to the winners finals. So they are going to be waiting for whoever decides to make the um actually do we have a double, I think, yeah, the winners finals. They're going to be waiting for the winner between Dallas and Houston to play. And then after that, if they win that match, they will be in the grand finals, but this is definitely looking very good if they're Guangzhou. They only have to win one more match to get into that final or into the grand finals. And we have decided our player of the match, Kabosu, with a stellar Echo performance. How are you doing, Kabosu, after this win?
I woke up 5 minutes before the match started, so I can't really say anything.
He wakes up and he slaughters. I mean, I guess that's just all that needs to be done some of the time. Sometimes it just is like that.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people have struck you guys as the team to beat in these playoffs. And like I said on the cast, I think a lot of people are seeing you guys as the villains. You guys talk a lot of trash. You guys hype yourselves up. You guys win a lot of matches. You guys win some convincing matches. It seems like you guys are just, playing without a care in the world. And I think that just puts a target on your back. And being the team to beat, how like does that make you like what does that like mean for you to be the team that everyone is wanting to beat?
It's a pretty good thing to have. It's just when you stomp people, you can meme on them and crush their egos.
It's true, but just as uh, there is a lot of ego to be had, it definitely, if you do lose, there's going to be a lot of things to bring it back. But I just wanted to touch on the patch. Obviously, went live today, and it was definitely something that a lot of people were on the fence about of whether or not it would affect the meta. Um, do you think that the patch had much change on what your team was going to do, or do you think you guys just decided you're going to roll with what you played last patch, or do you think it just didn't really change much?
We never paid attention to the patch. We just ran the same thing, and we found out that our ball is just an enter.
That's very true. Zeecherman definitely getting a little ahead of himself. I think if anyone was hurt by the patch, it was probably him not getting as much health out of those adaptive shields. But anyway, you are now moving on to the winners finals, and that means that you will play the winner of Dallas versus Houston. And I just have to ask one more question: who would you like to see there?
I take either. We can beat both of them.
Well, you have to
Mm,
pick one. Pick
Uh,
one.
I pick Boston.
Boston, that's not available, brother. And
I'll
in
take.
the winners finals, not the grand
Okay, okay,
finals.
okay.
Like
So I'll take
Dallas,
Dallas. I'll take Dallas because I want to beat them again and crush them.
awesome. Yeah, Dallas from your division. But yeah, so how this stands now, I believe that means that San Francisco, first off, thank you for the winner interview. Congratulations on the win and congratulations on player of the match, Kabosu, and talk to you later.
Okay, see ya.
So now I
Well
believe
played.
how it works is Shungite will get seeded into the losers bracket into the second round. I'm not exactly sure which side they're going to be on. I think that depends on remaining seeding. But like I said, Guangzhou moving on already to the finals, um, and that is going to be something. It works out very well. It doesn't means that if they do drop to the losers bracket here, it's only one more win to get back into the grand finals. But um, I think next match we have to look forward to Dallas versus Houston. Both of these teams um, looking very strong. I mean, obviously, all the quarterfinal matches were 3-0s. However, one thing I want to point out is that it seems that Dallas, since Dallas's match was a forfeit, it might be a little bit harder to place like a power rankings here. So they are still kind of unproven. in the playoffs here. So we'll have to see if they are really able to compete with the rest of these teams. But Houston's been on the up and up for a while, and they've been kind of a dark horse, also coming into this playoffs alongside of San Francisco. And I think that that also will be a very interesting match as well.
I mean, just to put a note on kind of the end of this, as I kind of give my final take here for this match. Obviously, I'm really not sure what the other side of the bracket is going to herald, but one thing we saw today was sheer dominance from Guangzhou. One thing I'd like to point out, one thing that we've been saying kind of the whole day, which is this bend, not break philosophy. Guangzhou understand all of their outs. They understand how to play to them. They understand when things are lost, but they also understand when things are absolutely and completely winnable, as was demonstrated by that retake on Volskaya, and a lot of the things that happened there on Oasis. I think anyone who goes up against Guangzhou in this winners finals, obviously I haven't seen too much of Dallas nor Houston yet, but I don't think we've seen the full potential, the limit that Guangzhou has to offer us. And I'm really excited to see if we ever finally hit that. But for right now, I feel like they have to be the favorite moving forward in almost any match they play.
Yeah, definitely on the top of all the teams playing right now. And, being the team to beat, that means that it's honestly, it's just one of those things where if you are the team to beat, everyone's gonna, people aren't really gonna congratulate you for the win, but you're never gonna hear the end of it if you lose. So they just have to make sure that they don't lose. And going into the winners finals here, I think it definitely puts them in a good position. I think regardless of who moves up, Dallas or Houston, I think you would still favor Guangzhou because, like you said, it looks like they haven't really been tested yet in these grand finals yet. Vancouver, walk in the park. San Francisco, walk in the park. And some might argue that that was partially because both of those teams were some of the play-ins teams, and maybe they got a little bit of a freebie going into this bracket, but it is something they earned from being the second seed overall. But given that everyone thought that Guangzhou would be facing New York in this match. Definitely something that San Francisco is still very, very. It's very possible for them to still run it back through the losers finals, and we also might see a rematch between New York and San Francisco as well. But we'll have to see how that plays out. And that will be pretty much it for this match here. And very quick game. And uh, I have been Cesian, and I've been joined by Rook here. Thank you for watching, everyone. We will see you guys in the next match.
Thanks for having us.